And I think you got to consider that a lot of these are like middle-aged to older people in this as well that are like, listen, I don't have time to change this.
Right.
This is not
I'm
something
getting
I wanna
old. I
worry
don't have
about.
much time left here.
I don't want to worry about this. Just leave it the way it is, please. It really isn't that big of a deal.
Yeah, that's
We're going to change up
fair, I guess.
everything just for making it make more sense when it already makes sense to everyone who uses it.
1, 2, 3, 4.
What's poppin'?
Yo, welcome
What
back.
is going on, people?
Man, it's been a week or two, but we're
It's been
back.
a little while.
We're here. We're ready to go. I'm very excited to be here, to be with you, to be back really with this community. I love this community that we have going on.
It's really
here.
good. Yeah.
Yeah, it feels like every other day someone's coming. Either I'm coming up to someone and telling them about, oh, you should listen to this, or it's people coming back to me after I've told them, saying that they listened to it.
Yeah.
And
Even people that we don't even know. Like I don't know how some people have heard about it, but they've listened to it. We love you all. Thank you for listening.
Absolutely.
We passed recently 100 downloads.
Wow.
Which is insane.
that's worth celebrating.
But yeah,
Nice.
so baby milestones here, but we're getting up there.
Yeah, a little bit of a moment to celebrate and appreciate. So yeah, but yeah, we're gonna get right into today. So, with a lot of big political stuff not happening right now at all, we figured it'd be a really appropriate time to get political, right? That's because if we were in like a more political charged time, we wouldn't want to be bringing up any questionable,
Sensitive issues.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We want to avoid that.
Right.
So today, what we actually have is Tennyson and I both have some polls that we've looked up, and we're going to be sharing those, and we're going to really hope that the other person can guess like the results of the polls. So, for instance, if it's when's the last time
Or how often do you shower?
how often do you shower? Okay,
Yeah.
and then it's like there's you would say your answer, and then you just guess what you think the average answer is or something.
Sure.
So yeah, it's going to be loose, but I'm interested to hearing your half-baked takes regarding these various poll questions.
Sure. Are these like heavy issues, or are
Some,
they
but also some are light. Let's start with a lighter one.
okay? Yeah.
Actually,
Start me off easy.
like a medium one, I guess.
Okay.
Okay. So question. Okay, I'm getting my information from YouGov America. They have some really good poll stuff there that I'm able to look at to get some ideas. So this was actually conducted today, June 8th, when we're recording. So I'm wondering, Tennyson, should meat and dairy alternatives, such as lab-grown meat and almond milk, be allowed to include the words meat and milk in their product labels, or should terms be restricted to meat and dairy from animals?
So you're saying you're asking if non-meat products should be able to have the name meat in it.
Right, like if they were selling like Impossible burger ground beef or something, and it wasn't actually meat, could they say it's like meat meat in the advertisement, or almond milk? Could they say it's milk in their advertisement, like, and use those words specifically, or should those words only be able to be used in like marketing if it's actually that?
I would say it's okay if they are correctly describing the product, right?
Okay.
Okay, so like, for example, of the Impossible Whopper, it's a burger, right? But there's no technical meat in it, as you would describe that. But you can just say non-meat, like you're still describing it,
Right. So like if they decided to make a product that said Impossible meat in a package, and it had ground beef in it, and it looked like ground beef, but it wasn't actually meat.
I think that's okay. I mean, that's the impossible part is, you're telling the people this is not actually meat, but it tastes like meat. So.
Yeah. And like I've seen people do like blind taste tests, and people usually can't tell the difference.
Yeah.
So
No one can tell.
ultimately, like, does it really matter? I saw someone 3D print like a steak. They use like organic material, and they 3D printed a steak, and then they cooked it on their stove.
And then
It's pretty crazy.
you don't eat it though, right?
No, he ate it.
That's plastic.
No. He put organic material in the 3D
Oh,
printing
okay.
machine.
Okay. Yeah.
And he didn't eat. No. You usually put plastic.
No,
in there,
yeah,
but
you usually
they-
put plastic.
They had made like this specific
synthetic organic material. That's interesting.
organic plastic. Was weird. So anyway, I'm curious then. So you're saying yes, it should be allowed. You would vote for yes.
I think it's okay. Some companies can toe the line between misinformation
Mhm.
and helpfulness. Like I think it's helpful. Is that a word? Helpfulness?
Sure.
Now it is. I think it's because it can be helpful to say like non-meat or
Yeah.
this tastes like meat or it looks like meat, but
Yeah.
it's not actually meat.
And it
Like,
gives
that can
people
be
an idea
helpful.
of what they're going for.
Yeah.
Okay, so your predictions. There were 3 options people could choose for, and it was either should be allowed, should not be allowed, or not sure.
I think people said it. Well, here's the thing. I think most people would say that it is not allowed.
Most people would say should not be allowed.
I think they would say it's not allowed.
All right, so the most popular answer with 48% of the votes
Okay.
is should not be allowed. So
Okay.
you're correct. And then 28% said it should be allowed, and then 25% said they weren't sure.
Okay.
So that's a whole quarter of people just like, I'm
Just,
just
like,
honestly not
backing out
even
of
really
it.
sure. So
Yeah.
I'd probably agree with you though, because that it should be allowed
Mm-hmm.
because I mean, ultimately the product that you're purchasing is even more than just what it's physically made up of. Like if I buy ground beef, it's gonna function like meat. It's gonna taste
Yeah.
generally like meat.
Sure.
Just because it doesn't necessarily have the ingredients in it doesn't necessarily mean that you can't use it in marketing. You know.
Right.
Like, I mean, yeah, I guess this is what I'm, because
Mm-hmm.
you can not really be accurately representing what's in the item by saying it. Now, I think it
Sure.
could be different if you're saying like something's organic when it's not really organic, but it resembles something that's organic. Like that's
Right.
different.
That's just genuine.
It's like an
misinformation.
adjective to describe the trait of it, but you're not
it's
saying
deceptive.
a
Yeah.
trait. Like meat isn't a trait; it is just a state of what it actually is.
Sure.
You know. Anyway, so do you have one, or should I go to the next one?
Sure. So mine one is it's a question. Okay, it's a situation. I'm
Okay.
gonna give you a situation.
Sure.
You got to tell me what you would do. So there's a high-speed bus barreling towards you with no signs of slowing down.
Oh my goodness, one of
Okay.
these.
Similar to the trolley problem.
Yeah.
A bit slightly different.
High-speed bus barreling towards me. Okay.
Right. Your dog and a foreign tourist stand in its path during the headlight style, so they're not moving. You can only save one. Which would you choose?
I would jump at the tourist to try to throw them, like grab them and hug them and take them to the ground type of thing.
Okay.
And I would, as I'm jumping, grab the dog with the hook part of my foot. So I
Oh
would
my.
be lunging towards the tourist.
No, you
and
can only save
hooking the
one.
dog
You
with
can
my
only
toes
save one. You can only save one.
and bring them both to safety. That's exactly what I'd do.
Okay. So that would be
Dude,
cool.
it's hard
if
to
you
say.
could.
I mean, I guess I'd have to choose the person. I mean, it's hard to say in the moment, but honestly, genuinely, I probably would save neither. Like, if I'm actually being honest, and I
You
saw
just
the
abstain.
trolley. If I only had time to save one, there's no way I'm going to risk that. You know?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
My thinking is,
I would go, oh my gosh, get out of the way.
yeah, right. I
You
mean,
know?
well, my thinking is just in the aftermath, if I think to myself, I could have saved that person,
Mm-hmm.
that is much worse, like
Oh,
leagues
yeah.
worse than I could have
Yeah.
saved that dog. Like
Now, it's
that,
harder to say because I don't have a dog.
Yeah.
But I do have a cat.
Mm-hmm.
But she's like an outdoor cat, and we're not really friends anyway. I mean, we're friends, but
Okay.
like we don't bond a lot.
You are acquaintances.
Right, we're acquaintances. I feed her occasionally.
Uh-huh.
Not like, okay, she gets fed, but I'm not always
Okay.
the person that does
Your cat is in good health.
it. Exactly.
So
but,
what do you think people said for that though? Either the dog or the tourist.
I mean, it's gotta be the tourist. I would say like
What's the ratio here?
89% of people said the tourist.
Okay. 40% of people would save their dog over
Wow.
a foreign tourist.
Wow.
That's kind of crazy.
That's
That
insane.
surprises me a lot.
That's very surprising. 'Cause
Yeah.
I feel like that's so inherent that it's like this is literally a whole person.
I think,
as
yeah,
opposed
it's
to a
like your
dog.
fellow human beings. Like, you don't know the person, but yeah,
Right.
still they're a person.
Yeah, like you said, the amount of regret I would feel afterwards if I hadn't done anything, you know. And if you want me to play along with like the game and just like do the whole scenario, I
Mhm.
guess I'm gonna go with the tourist. But
Yeah.
anyway, yeah, those are always hard questions, and that's very surprising that 40% of people.
I am actually mind blown by that.
Yeah, I feel like you'd be hard pressed to find someone asking them in person that would say that.
Yeah.
you know?
I mean, people love their animals, man.
That's true, I guess. Anyway, so okay, I got one for you. In order to reduce, okay, so this is another one from YouGov America.
Okay.
In order to reduce electronic waste, A recent rule from the European Union will require all manufacturers of smartphones and other small electronic devices to use the same type of charging connector. Would you support or implement a similar rule in the United States? So could we have all of these charging connectors going on all over the place that it's like really a waste on our electronics? So they have a rule where it's all smartphones, or it's like regulating that charging connector for everyone.
Is it regulating a phone? Like, because it
It would be like a charging port
charging
on the
cables don't work for all the phones.
phone. Right. So they would be regulating further products. It's like, say, I feel like USB-C, if we had to choose one in America, would probably be it, just because that's probably the most popular right now.
Right.
So if they said Apple, Samsung, whatever, everybody, if you're going to sell it here in America, it needs to have a USB-C port. Boom. Would you be like, yeah, cool regulation, make stuff easier, or would you be like, heck no, that's not the government's place?
My instant thought is no. Let's let's not do that.
Right.
That feels really. It feels like they're trying to help, but it's not the best way to help.
Right.
Like, because I mean, like with the USB-C example, I'd be fine with that because I'm an Apple user. I like USB-C.
Sure.
That would be easy for me.
But if it was
for
like
someone else
Thunderbolt,
who doesn't use that, like they're not going to be mad. I'm thinking of my place. Like if I didn't use USB-C, like I'm going to have to. That puts it on me now to.
Right.
I get that it's for the environment, and that's important.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like there are better ways to do this.
Okay.
I don't know. What are your thoughts?
I mean, I think at a surface level, we take things like this where we prioritize convenience.
Mm-hmm. That's totally what I'm doing.
Right.
Like yeah.
Well, in a way, this idea would be, in a way, prioritizing convenience as well, right? Because it would be getting everyone the same phone
Simplicity,
charger and
yeah.
making things simpler. But it does, even at a level that doesn't seem really like it really matters, reduce people's individual freedoms and being able to choose what they want, especially when it comes to like businesses being able to put what they want on things like that. And I feel like it's very easy to put regulations onto businesses in the name of some sort of convenience and some sort of environmental help. And I think there is certainly places where we should be regulating businesses for environmental impact. But I don't feel like chargers is the biggest one. Like I've never experienced, I know this is anecdotal of course, but I've never experienced someone being like, oh, I have all these chargers that I, are going to the wrong ones. It's like, no, it's people just
Right.
have the charger for the thing that they need and then they
Yeah.
don't have any extras, So I doubt how actually effective this would be, And of course I don't hate the purpose at all. It's great.
No, it's
but,
good intention. Good intention.
But it feels like it's not worth the headache as well. So what would your prediction be for support, oppose, and then not sure?
Well, I think most people would not support that just because I think people prioritize their own convenience
Okay.
over the sake of the greater good sometimes. And I
like
feel like this is one of those times, like with the charger, like it
Right.
seemed kind of
Inconsequential?
inconsequential, but I think they'd just be opposed to it.
Yeah. Okay. So the answer is the number one with 62% of the votes was in support.
Really?
Yes. 16% were opposed, and 22% were not sure with their answer. So
Interesting.
60.
A lot of
that's
people
the
abstaining.
Overwhelming majority were supporting in this. And if you look at the ratio between just supporting and opposing, that's like 1-4. So it's pretty significant.
Huh. That's
Yeah.
interesting.
All right. Well, yeah. Well, that's very surprising.
Yeah, I'm honestly surprised at that too.
Yeah. But I mean, you can't say that they're wrong, right? That this is what it has to say. So
Oh yeah,
you
I could go either way on that.
yeah. You got your one for us?
Yeah, I got another one here. This is from surveybeta.com. It's a poll question. Do you think all new movies should be available on streaming platforms as they release at movie theaters?
No. Like in terms of if it releases at the movies, it should have to be available like on Netflix or something.
Right. On some streaming platform.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah. That seems kind of dumb.
Well, actually, let me think about it.
Maybe.
I don't think movie theaters should be able to create a monopoly on things like that. But I think I would just say leave it up to the person who made the movie. That would, my opinion would be. If I made a movie, I'd want to decide where it was available on. So if I said I only want it available in movie theaters and then I'll make it available in streaming like 2 months later, yeah, So I would say no. It should not have to be on streaming services.
Yeah.
Because then they have to choose a specific streaming service to. I'll notice how I tried to put the word specific and particular together there and said specificular. But anyway, they had to. Yeah, I would just say no. That seems like an unnecessary requirement for them, and I would assume that most people would say no as well because that just seems kind of stupid.
Yeah. Do you want to take a guess? I feel like
The
the results are
percentage?
key to.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with. I don't know. I feel like a lot of people don't like going to the movies when really just want stuff to come out. So I'm gonna go with 68% of people wanted it to. And then, is there a not sure option as well, or is it only yes and no?
It's only yes and no.
So I'm gonna go 68% in favor, and then that would be 32% against, or 32% wanting it to be on streaming services, and 68% wanting the option to be up to the movie theaters.
Okay. So it's actually the opposite. So 66% want it to be both movie theaters and streaming services.
Like
right
available
away.
at the same time. Oh
Right.
my gosh.
And 33% said no.
I mean, I guess it
And-
makes sense because if the people are just thinking, oh, would you like the movies to be available on streaming services? Then sure, I would say yes.
Right.
But
I
the
don't
fact
wanna
that
go
they're
there.
making it required, that like changes my answer.
I think it's also important to note this poll was taken in October of 2021. So
Okay.
COVID was still a thing.
Yeah, true.
So I wonder if that could have had an
That's a good
impact
perspective.
on people being hesitant to still
Mhm.
go out, movie theaters,
Right.
high contact area, you're there with people.
Yeah,
for
that's a really
while.
good point actually. Yeah.
So I wonder if that could have, made some people think, oh, I kind of want this available at my house. Not because I don't like going to movie theaters, but because there's a global pandemic and I don't really want to go to the movie theater right now.
Right. Well, what's your opinion?
I think it was honestly for where we were like in the past 2 years with COVID. I think it was fine like to release stuff directly to streaming platforms and movie theaters. Like that feels fine to me.
Right.
But I also think now that we're sort of getting out of it a little bit, I think it's not really fair to the movie theaters
Yeah. Good point.
because they still, they got to stay in business,
Right.
So at the time, I think I would agree with them, but
Mhm. But now it's
now
like
I think I would change it to
you have a different perspective on things now, where we are
hindsight.
today.
Hindsight is 2020.
That is, especially when we look at 2020, it's even more,
Yeah.
even more so.
True. All right, so
All right, I got
you
the
got our next one here.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Okay. So this one and talking about the mandating by the government made me think of this next one too. So what do you think? The question being, should America go and like the rest of the world switch to the metric system? And this is a poll for Americans, U.S. voters,
Okay.
and what they think the United States should do, whether they should adopt the internationally used metric system,
Okay.
or just are opposed. Well, personally, what would you say?
Let's do it,
Let's
please.
do it.
I've been a proponent of this for years. I say let's do it. This should have happened a long time ago.
Have you been lobbying for the?
Can we
metric
get
system?
with the rest of the world, America, please? Like, it's a stupid. I don't
Celsius
know.
comes with that as well.
Yeah, like Celsius, like
You're
that.
Celsius too?
That's great. I'll take Celsius. I'll take it all. That's great.
You'll take Celsius?
You know what? This thing about the metric and the English units, is that what it's the English
Imperial system.
Imperial.
Yeah.
Sorry, imperial. I think it's dumb. I think we should have switched a long time ago, personally.
Okay. Do you think that we're ever going to switch?
Well, here it's another one of those convenience issues.
Yeah.
Like
You gotta
sure
whole
it would
relearn
be
a new-
it would be a little hard to switch over. I think it's worth it.
Mm-hmm.
Just for the sake of it's a trade-off, right?
Mm-hmm.
Delaying the convenience of unity for
Yeah.
a little bit of transition.
Sure.
It's hard to transition, but
And
I think
honestly,
it'll be with it.
In my opinion, I feel like people say Celsius makes way more sense, right? Because it's like, 0 degrees and then 100 degrees.
Yeah, it's
0 is
a way better
freezing,
system, I think.
100 is boiling. Personally, I think for weather, Fahrenheit is a way better system, in my opinion, because it
Why
has
is that?
more degrees of like if you think about even within Fahrenheit,
Yeah.
like if you have the difference between a 70-degree day and a 75-degree day, that's a kind of like you can feel the difference between even like 5 degrees or even like 1 degree. Honestly, sometimes people say, "Hey, can you change the AC?" and they put it down 1 degree sometimes. Like that's what people do.
Oh, I'm so cool now.
And you think about Celsius, if Celsius is like almost like a 2 times ratio, you have even less fine tuning available. Moving
Right.
something from like 20 degrees Celsius to 21 degrees Celsius is much different. Like that's very
Yeah.
different,
Right.
you know? And so Fahrenheit not only gives us more ability to change and have more fine tuning in our measurement of the weather, it also, in my opinion, is a really good like metric of what is really like bearable temperatures. Like if you think about, you can 0 degrees Fahrenheit is like, that's like about as low as you could possibly go. Like
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to be
That's
any
the
lower than
coldest
0
places.
degrees,
Yeah.
right? And 100 degrees is
I wouldn't want
similar
to be in
to like an upper
15
register
degree weather.
Right. Well, I mean, kind of like the way I think about it, 100 degrees is kind of like an upper register. Like I don't want to be much higher than that either.
Right.
Celsius, 100 degrees Celsius, that's not, you can't even comprehend how hot that is.
No, you're dead.
And 0 degrees Celsius, you could even be going below that, and then you're going into negative temperatures. But really, if you think about like 50 is kind of like in the middle between hot and cold. Is it more on the cold side? And then you kind of have like, where would you like to be? Oh, like in the 70, 80 range. That feels like a correct number on a
Right.
scale from 0 to 100.
68 is the ideal temperature.
That's
in my
totally
opinion.
wrong. It's definitely like 73 or
It's
74.
not, but okay.
Dude, I would so much rather be warm than...
Hey.
I would rather be mildly warm than mildly cold
I'm thinking of
any day.
Hey, I'm thinking about movement. Okay,
Movement?
If you're like moving around and like and like playing like soccer or something,
Oh,
like
yeah, sure.
outside in 60, you're going to be in.
Yeah,
68
I'm not doing very much movement.
below.
I'm doing some sitting.
Okay, so
enjoying
there's
the
a difference
outside.
between us.
If I'm moving, yeah, 68 degrees, that's fine. But if I'm just chilling and enjoying the outdoor air, I'd much rather be warmer.
Yeah.
I like to just sit in the sun and be baked for a little bit,
Like
not fully baked.
not fully baked, just
but
like
just a little bit. Like almost like halfway there.
like half
halfway
baked. Yeah,
there. But so anyway, back to the main poll
yeah. You
question.
bring up a good point about
Right.
Fahrenheit. I still think. Let's just send it. Let's
Just stick with Celsius?
Let's
Celsius?
just take the metric system, shove the empirical units down the drain.
Empirical.
They were good for their time. No, they weren't. We should have switched.
They were never good. Who needs 128 ounces to a gallon or whatever it is when you can
exactly
do
like
1 to 100?
gallons, like pints, whatever.
Okay, so you would say yes. I would also agree. Totally would agree. I would say that as a whole, it's just like the base 10 systems, like the 0 to 100 to 1,000 measurements, like kilometer to meter, just
Seems way better.
just so much better. I
Yeah.
totally would rather switch because even I get confused sometimes about like measuring like ounces and gallons and pints, So the question is, how many people voted for which was more popular, you believe, in an American base poll?
I'm gonna go on a limb here. I'm gonna say at least 80% said we should switch because I
80%
believe
said we should switch.
I believe I am in I have the mind of
the people.
of the people for
Of
this
the-
this particular issue,
of
not
the
for a
American.
lot of other issues, but for this one I feel
You
like
feel like 80% would
it's
say
gonna
yes.
be at least 80.
And then how many would be undecided then?
Undecided I think would be like 10%, and I think
Okay.
10% would be against.
So
roughly.
10% yes, 10% I don't know. Or 10% no, 10% I don't know, and then 80% yes.
Yeah.
Well, you are very incorrect. 21% of people said that they would want to adopt metric system.
Okay. Yeah.
15% undecided.
Dude, people just value their own convenience so much.
64% are opposed. And I think you got to consider that a lot of these are like middle-aged to older people in this as well that are like, listen, I don't have time to change this.
Right.
This is not
I'm
something
getting
I wanna
old. I
worry
don't have
about.
much time left here.
I don't want to worry about this. Just leave it the way it is, please. It really isn't that big of a deal.
Yeah. That's,
We're going to change
that's
up
fair, I guess.
everything just for making it make more sense when it already makes sense to everyone who uses it. Like,
Yeah.
still, it's kind of stupid, and I don't think it's a good system. That being said, I don't know. It's
Yeah.
21% of people.
I'm not mad. Like, we don't change. Like, I'm not mad. Like,
Yeah.
I'm fine. I don't interact
like-
with people who use the metric system that much.
That's fair.
So,
But yeah, when someone says like, "Oh, it's 14 centimeters long," I have like, "Huh?"
Yeah.
No concept at all.
that's like tiny, right?
Yeah.
Isn't it?
14 centimeters. That's like 20.
That's really. That's like
like
that's
7
my,
inches?
Like on my finger.
7 inches. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, metric system. There you go.
That's cool. All right. Well, I have another one here. Sticking with kind of like the COVID-ish theme.
Okay, COVID theme.
COVID
Let's talk
theme.
more about COVID.
Yeah.
I'm sure people
That
want to hear
hasn't been-
more
hasn't
about
been
that.
Talked about enough.
Yeah, no, not at all.
It's sort of related. Will you attend a sporting event or a concert this spring
this
or summer?
This spring or summer.
This summer. This is for spring, but I'm gonna say.
Will
this
I attend one? I personally am planning on it, but never before would I ever say yes. And this is just because of a specific person that I like. I mean, well, that's why everyone would go to one.
Sure. Yeah.
But I would probably consider myself, although musically inclined and gifted, I wouldn't say that I would represent proportion of people that actually listen to music. 'Cause I don't actually listen to very much music individually. Like I don't
Right.
usually just turn on music to listen to.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a shame, honestly. I feel like I'm missing out on
First
a lot
Class
of
by
stuff.
Jack Harlow. That's an exception.
G-L-A-M. Anyway, copyright. So yeah, I would say probably I would usually say no. And for my personally, and I don't know moving forward if it's going to change, but I would say no just because it's an accurate representation of me as a person.
Sure.
Although technically I am, which is a stupid answer to the question, but it
You
is.
are going
it
to
is
one.
kind of how I feel.
You are going to one.
I am planning on it.
Hopefully.
Yeah, that is true. Hopefully. So yeah. As far as the populace, is there a not sure or is there a yes or
It's
no?
just yes and no for this.
That's true. That would make some not sense. Okay. I'm gonna go
make
with
some not sense.
make not sense. I'm gonna go with 81% of people. Actually, no, it's a little high. I'm gonna go with 77% of people
Okay.
saying they would.
Okay.
Actually, I don't know, because this is for all people, right? So this is including boomers
There were over 5,000 respondents,
and what was the population?
and I can't see
Okay.
what the ages were.
Well, when I'm thinking about it, I think that most teenagers and young people would want to do it. So actually, I'm going to adjust mine a little lower. I'm going to go with 67% of people
Okay.
are going to one.
Which would mean
That 33% of people would not be,
okay.
I guess. About 2/3 ratio.
Okay. You were initially closer. It's actually 78% said
Oh,
yes,
okay.
and 22% said no.
All right. Well,
So,
there you go.
Imagine those numbers like 2 years ago.
Yeah. Gosh,
I mean, this was
no one.
It's interesting though because this was taken in April of 2021, so people are going to
Really?
sporting events.
So maybe
and
we're right about the
concerts.
other one. Because I feel like, honestly, in 2021, people were kind of like, come on, let's just do stuff now.
I think people are just itching to get out. Honestly.
Yeah. And for April, they may have also been thinking by the time we're in summer, I'm sure it's going to be open. And
Right.
I'm
It's going to be fine. Let me get these tickets.
Right.
Let me get these.
like,
Let me
Yeah.
get these Enya tickets.
If you
People
had
don't
asked
listen
me
to
in
Enya,
April-
not Enya. That was a bad example.
if you had asked me in April of 2021, hey, do you think, they'll be doing concerts in the summer? I would say, oh, yeah, probably.
Mm-hmm.
This is wrapping up soon.
I will say I recently went to a Coldplay concert, which was
Really?
unbelievable.
Wow.
Unbelievably good. It was
used to roll the dice.
yeah, it was unbelievable. Honestly, like
Uh-huh.
they're such good performers, dude. Chris Martin sweat through like 70 shirts.
Just constantly taking off shirts and putting on new ones.
Thankfully, not on the stage, but I mean, he is pretty fit.
I'd be down to see that.
He's pretty fit.
Anyway.
But yeah, it was a really good experience. There were so many people there. That stadium fit like 80,000, and that was in the stands.
80K?
Not even counting the people on the ground.
Mm.
So probably close to 100K.
Mm-hmm.
But it was crazy. It was so loud and so amazing. And
Wow.
yeah, I was just saying like that was I can't imagine that happening like a year or even like a year and a half ago.
Mhm.
But it's interesting that a lot of people like a year ago were like planning to go to like sporting events and concerts.
Yeah. And then, I mean, were that even really happening much last summer?
I don't remember. I feel like I haven't gone to a lot of concerts, but
Mhm.
I feel like they've only just recently kind of started to open up again.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
like kind of just becoming back into the flow of what people usually go and do.
I'm not super in touch with that though, so
Mm-hmm. That's fair. It's hard to give an accurate depiction because we're only like our perspectives on things too.
right. It's so unbelievably narrow, but yeah, I think you have our next one, right?
Yeah. Okay. So this might be our last one too, but we're gonna get a little bit more on the political side. Not too political. We don't want to
Okay.
We don't want to lose listeners.
No, we're not.
based off
We're not
of
trying to do that.
Our terrible. Well, I mean, we are half baked. So we kind of have insurance. I would say
Is it?
we kind of have bought some time to
Okay.
be making terrible claims.
Okay.
Anyway, so should public schools that require the Pledge of Allegiance to be recited allow students to opt out of reciting it? And I've heard people talking recently about how if you listen to the Pledge of Allegiance, it's like people that aren't from America, they kind of think that it's creepy that we say that and we force kids to like chant it together. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. What is it? And to the republic for which it stands. It's like we're like worshiping this flag.
Right, and I think also the like under God part. I feel like a lot of people
And that's questionable.
will
People wouldn't
quibble
want to
with.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean my gut reaction is no, they shouldn't be required.
Mm-hmm.
But I wonder if it's also kind of the case with like school uniforms. Like it provides a sense of
Unity.
camaraderie
Yeah.
and unity with each other. So I don't know. I feel like people are gonna say no. Like
You're gonna say no is the most
no,
popular answer.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
It feels like that's what people are gonna say by a long shot.
Okay, so that people that they should be able to opt
That
out.
they should be able to opt out. Yeah.
Okay, and then what would you then assume the percentage would be for the breakdown of that?
It also seems like a lot of people would be unsure.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe like 25% are unsure.
That feels like always what it tends to be, right?
Yeah, it's in the 20s. And then I think 70% said people should be able to opt out,
Mhm.
and 30%. Or no, wait, this is math.
25% plus
25%.
at least 5%. You said 70%.
Right. Let's say 20% opted out.
Mm-hmm.
10% said
It must be
It
required.
must be required, and 70% said they could opt out.
All right. Well, you're pretty good on the not sure.
Okay.
18% of people were not sure, so very good.
And
on
I'm
that one.
wildly inaccurate on the other parts.
You're not wildly inaccurate.
Okay.
Most people did say that students should be able to opt out, but
Okay.
only 15% of people. 50% of people.
50%,
So
okay.
50% of people said, yeah, they should be able to opt out. 33% of people said that they should not be able to opt out. They should either have to say it. And
That
then
feels about right.
Really? Because that
Yeah.
feels like it would be way more people. Because if I were to ask people, it'd be like, yeah, of course students should have the decision to not say it. Like, are we going to require people to and compel people to say something?
Yeah, I mean, people give different opinions on polls,
Yeah.
than they would in person.
That's true. I don't know. I feel like the argument that people would make in favor of it, or like in favor of them not opting out, would have to be something like, "Oh, come on! It's just the Pledge of Allegiance. Like, it's
Yeah.
not anything terrible." Or, and
Right.
then if that's your argument, I'd be like, "Well, yeah, it's just the Pledge of Allegiance. Why do you care so much that people are forced to say it?" And I feel like it'd be a better practice to say, "Hey, let's let people choose to say this or not." Because we don't require Americans to be patriotic. It's something we value, but we don't require it of them.
Right. Yeah, I mean, like, and what about like students who are here from like other countries? Like,
Right.
there's a lot of those, and it's not their home country.
No.
They might not know it. They might know it and still
Exactly.
not agree with it. Like, I agree with it,
Mm-hmm. I think they should be able to opt out.
but I also agree that there's freedom in being able to not say that.
Wow, so it sounds like really there's a lot of interesting polls out there. I feel like there's so many more of these that we could go through.
I feel like there are a lot of more that we could dive into, but
Uh-huh.
I think we're running short on time here. So
Yeah, so I hope if you guys were playing along or if you were guessing as well, I
Gotta-
hope you did well.
gotta
We
say
were-
your answers out loud.
Well, I
we
mean, it's
should
too
have
late
said
to say that.
Too
but
late.
If we
Oops.
ever do something like this in the future, you have to verbalize your answers or else,
Right, because your brain will trick you.
because
and
you're
think.
thinking that you like threw out a few different
Right.
answers,
Mhm.
But anyway, hopefully you guys did a little better than us because we did kind of
We did okay.
kind of dog water, but not awful,
Not hogwash.
not
We weren't
hogwash, just dog
hogwash.
water, just dog water.
Just dog water.
Absolutely. Okay, well, all right. Well, thank you so much for tuning in,
Thank you guys.
for joining us yet again for episode number 5, and I cannot wait to see what we come out with next time. And of course, thank you just for listening, for telling people about what we got here.
Yeah, keep spreading
Yeah.
the word.
Our past episodes are officially out on YouTube, so if it's more convenient for you to listen to YouTube, go ahead and check us out there.
YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify.
Yep. And then one day we'll get to video podcasts when we
One day when we
get a nice studio.
yeah, if only we had a nice studio where
if we get a
could-
sponsor that can really dish out some mad cash for us, then we could
yeah,
really get that nice studio. But until then, we'll keep
Peloton.
Peloton Girl.
I mean, you're doing
We'll
ads
break
for
down,
everyone else.
We'll
so.
break down Peloton Girl in the next episode, like 3 years after it's relevant. There you go.
the
All right.
Peloton ad. Yeah.
See you guys and have a good one.
All right. See ya.
Peace.